State meeting, special meeting for the Southeast Lyndhurst School Board of Education work session. Can I say that, right? No. Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order. Mr. Hill?
Ms. Falkenberg,
Here.
Mrs. Jones,
Ms. Jones has an excused absence today.
Mrs. King,
Here.
Ms. Lee,
Here.
Mrs. Ryan.
Here.
Go ahead to the discussion item.
Yes, we're going to switch it up just a little bit. We are going to start with our safety and security update by Mr. Wiley. So I'm going to pull his presentation up. And then we will have memorial. Beginning of the year, it wouldn't be a bad idea there's been a lot of actually work and that has been done over the last couple months. And we thought, beginning of a school year, a lot of things you have on your mind is where you like to front load to really communicate with people is, some of the safety things that we're doing. So we're just a short presentation this evening. And Mr. Wiley, I'm turning that over to you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate everybody's time. I'll make this as brief as possible. I know there's a long agenda. It's been a long day for a lot of individuals. So, right off the rip, do I have to touch something or how's that?
No, there's something that you just have to cue me and I'll do that.
All right, so
Wait, there you go.
first things first, we've updated certain fire alarm procedures. We're making sure that everybody's aware that when we're having drills, they're aware of the drills. It's common procedure for today's American active shooter to try to use fire alarms use them against us. So we've updated certain policies and procedures. Everybody's on board with it because the general public can review tonight, and I hope you respect the fact that there's some security features that have not at liberty to divulge. But we have taken that certain aspect into consideration. We've updated the lockdown, shelter in place, and medical emergency protocol and policies as well. Window film has been placed on all of the entrances to all facilities. So if somebody finds a locked door and they want to try to shoot their way in, they can't. We've also done we've got those other enhancements that are ongoing. We're looking at panic alarms, more radios, more cameras, more technology for that. Next slide, please. Right off the rip, when the teachers came back on the 21st, I sat down with the guards. We went over guard expectations. We talked about de-escalation tactics. We talked about use of force policy. We also went over radio procedures, and I introduced what's called the broken windows theory. In law enforcement, the broken windows theory is basically if you get ahead of little crime like broken windows, vandalism, that sort of thing, graffiti, big crime will go away and we'll find somewhere else to go. So we take pride in our facilities, pride in how it looks. Sorry, my end, you see a piece of garbage, you see some graffiti, report it, we'll get it clean. Excuse me. We're providing ongoing training to staff. That training includes See Something, Say Something, which was implemented after 9/11. IDs for all visitors, staff, teachers, anybody like that has some form of ID, whether it's a permanent badge or a temporary badge. Talked about making sure the doors are shut. Doors are shut and locked for everybody's safety. And then we went over what is commonly referred to as the 19 warning signs. The FBI has done a study and says that there's 19 warning signs that coincide with somebody that's in a mental crisis episode up to and including being an active shooter. So we're giving training on those warning signs. Bomb threat guidelines. Basically, we took the Homeland Security checklist for bomb threats and we've issued it to anybody that answers a phone in the school district. And it's nothing more than if somebody calls in, whether it's a mad bomber or a kid that's wanting to get out of math class, calling in a bomb threat. It's a checklist of things to ask, things to look for, try to keep them on the phone as long as possible. We start looking for accents, background noise, that sort of thing, and then who to call and what to do next and the procedures from there. Over the summer, we got the school, the entire district signed up for the for a vulnerability assessment. Essentially, they bring in subject matter experts from different fields and different backgrounds, and they're going to tour all 6 schools and look for weaknesses, look for vulnerability, things that we can improve, things that we need or we're doing right, and just kind of give us a basis on where we stand, and it'll help us with grants in the future. Also, if we need to get grants for whatever security measure, we can say, hey, according to the State of Ohio Governor's Office, this is something we should implement. Conducted a tabletop training last week with local law enforcement and administrators. We're going to have continuing tabletop exercises as well, just to get the gears turning and people start asking questions and start running the what if game. This way, if we ever, God forbid, do have a scenario that we put out on these tabletops, they'll know how to respond. And we're going to have bi-monthly meetings with representatives from all unions and everybody, and just make sure everybody's on the same page. Say if anybody has questions, comments, concerns. And I believe that's everything for me. So once again, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. One of the comments with regards to the tabletop, as a former building principal, you know, it's really, when something happens in the building, it's really, the building principal has to really think quickly. And it's almost like, I'll call it like technology. If I learn something new in technology, and maybe then go to a big training, it's great, seems really fresh in my mind, I feel very confident with it. And then if I don't use it for another month or so, then I feel like I'm relearning it. So one of the things was we did it a lot in our previous district, and I know through Ms. Thompson with the training it's really important to with the what ifs, you know, and I think what's really great about also the law enforcement is we're willing, you know, who makes what decisions when. And I think that's some of the things, and so what we're going to do is continue to go through those thinking exercises where they become very second nature to knowing you know, how to react in a situation. Hopefully we never have to use it, but you know, I think it's something that's going to continuously is something that should be practiced, and we had a great first go.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So next we're going to bring up the other slide. We are going to have Dr. Fuller and the memorial students come on up. Let me see, is it up here? Is there another new? No, that's not it. They don't have any.
No, go to the far right there.
Right there?
Yeah.
Ah, there we
You
go.
don't gotta play, that's for the end.
Okay, all right. Give me one moment. Talking to a mic, but for the streaming purposes, if you can get close to a mic, am I right? This way, otherwise people at home are not going to hear. So as best you can, you can utilize that, so I know.
Perfect. Good evening. I hope you guys can all hear me okay. So we are excited to be here. I know you can see the students behind me, and they are excited. They are very well prepared and have spent a lot of time for this presentation this evening. One of the beauties of the ending last school year was the conversation about having a 7th grade orientation day. Unfortunately, that day was canceled, and so we had to press pause and reinvent the wheel, if you will. And so our students are very creative and developed an alternative to that day. So as opposed to spending a full day to transitioning 7th graders in, they have some other excitement for you this evening. And so with that, here is Kari.
If you feel more comfortable holding it and passing it, would you like that?
Yeah.
Would that be helpful? There you go.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Okay, we are from the Entrepreneur Club. We went on a lot of field trips, like we went to go see the mayor. Yeah. We learned about business and everything like that. And this is Nairi. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Okay, so me and Kariana are going to talk about what we have learned in our Business Entrepreneur Club, what we have done, and who was with us throughout the process. So this summer, out of a couple of days of the week or on the weekends, we would go up to Brush and we would discuss the brain states and how they would help us in class or in schools. And like how they will benefit the students in better ways and help them understand their work better while working, and how like to adjust better to like a different environment with like older kids with them. The people that was with us throughout this process is all these lovely people that I know over here. Yes. Amazing people. Yes. And, forgive me for forgetting your names, but you know who you are. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, Miss Thomas, Miss Bussy, and Miss Dice. Yeah, she's not here today, but Miss Dice too. It's okay. So we're going to go over to the brain states. The first brain state is survival state.
Hi, my name is Deirdre.
Hi, Deirdre.
I'm Leandre.
Leandre.
Let's start with the red state. It is called the survival state, or fight or flight. With which questions? Which asks the question, am I safe? When you don't feel safe, your body becomes angry, tense, and hot.
This is how your brain reacts when you are in the red state. Out of control, stressed, anxious. This is a fight or flight response.
Some ways bringing your emotional state from the red zone to the green zone. Examples: put your head down, deep breaths, count to 10.
And etc.
What's the next thing?
Hello, I'm Ashley. I'm Juliana. Okay, the next state is the emotional state or the blue state. The blue state or the emotional state is when you ask yourself, am I loved?
The emotional state represents when you are not working at your best and not at your worst. And the best ways to get out of the blue state is to
identify how you are feeling,
determine if your emotions are helpful or unhelpful,
embrace how you feel,
refrain from unhelpful thoughts,
tell a trusted parent or an adult,
and do something that makes you happy.
To conclude, this is a brief explanation about what the blue state or the emotional state is and how to get out of it.
Hello everybody, my name is Rayvon.
Hi, my name is Quinn.
We're gonna talk about the executive state. Last but not least is the executive state.
Executive state represents a sense of feeling safe emotionally and physically. Examples are better at problem solving, organized, self-regulation, calm, and ready to learn.
Here are 2 ways you can self-relate to stay in the green zone or the executive state. Number 1, calm down space or safe space. Number 2, filter your own thoughts.
Hi. This is the, am I okay? This is the video we made over this summer to share with the 7th graders about conscious discipline and brain states. This is our first video and we were really nervous.
And so before you show the video, Mr. Capel, this is actually going to be one of many that we show every Friday in the 7th and the 8th grade classes.
All right, I'm going to get it started. Thank you.
Welcome to Memorial Junior High School, where we believe high expectations lead to high achievement. My name is Dr. Fuller, and I'm your nurse Entrepreneur Club members? School climate is not the weather, it is the environment of the school. The environment is what we want kids to be like. It is really important to show respect to teachers, students, principals, and other people in the room.
There are core opportunities like dances, wheelchairs, clubs, and sports. Some clubs include business clubs, student council, art club, book club, homework club, e-crew, and builders club, and neighbors club. We can also work with a teacher to create. It is important to show leadership skills and work together to all of these clubs. The best part of the 7th grade was the team and clubs. I was a part of
Three brains, the executive state, the emotional state, and the emotional. Let's start with the state. It is called a survival state or fight or flight. Ask the question, am I safe? When you don't feel safe, your body becomes angry, tense, or hot.
I'm getting mad now in my room. Leave me alone. I'm in my room. Leave me alone. Something you can do to get out of your red zone is breathe.
We ought to show the system growth.
Now we're writing down. The first state is the emotional state. The emotional state represents when you are not looking at your best, but not your worst. This is the state where you ask, am I wrong? So let's put this on the emotional state is to remove yourself, calm yourself there. I don't think are you okay? And the most that we seek for connection and communication with others.
That's how we the executive state.
The executive state represents a sense of feeling, state, emotional, and physical. Examples: better at problem solving, organized, self-reliant, calm, ready to learn.
We're in the green state. We're calm and we're learning.
So you see, we have a few upcoming actors and actresses here. We do have a club called Music Technology, so that beat that you heard was made by our very own Leandre. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, boys, girls. Thank you.
It was so nice.
Great idea. Well, just for those watching, what we started last spring, and we've done this before over the years, in my 12 years here, it's really just kind of bringing our students and the principals here and teachers, and so it's really gives them an opportunity to showcase some of the things that they're doing. This evening, as you saw, conscious disciplines, for those that are not familiar, it's something that's been, probably been implemented, started about 4 years ago, maybe even a little bit longer. Where it really just talks about the different brain states, and as you can see, really self-awareness with regards to maybe not only where you are as a individual, but maybe somebody else as well, and really knowing that you know, you have options on how to you know, react to a situation and things like that. Empowerment is what I'd like to think of that. So we're really happy to see our young folks you know, explain it. And I think you also heard Dr. Fuller talk about a music technology class. It was in its second year. And we have some great music programs here, but we have expanded it to actually young people who are interested in the technical piece of music, as well as designing the beats and the sound and producing music and things like that. So thank you, Dr. Fuller and the team there. We are going to move on to our third topic, and let me get out of this for a moment and go to beginning here. So With our state report card, you're getting a sneak peek. We're not going to go into all the explanations of how ODE calculates and different things. We can always do that at a later time. You know, really what we're this evening is about is celebration. Again, we know there's a lot more, and I'm probably the first one to tell you there's a lot more with regards to that we celebrate about our schools and our program. However, one of our most public measurements is the state report card. It is not easy thing to change and move, but however, you know, I have to tell you what, these structures and the things that we put into place, you really, we knew that we were going to start to see that momentum. I always share this with folks, and I'll just read it because I've had it for years. I don't know, it was in 2003 or 4, I've lost track. I had the opportunity to attend the Harvard Leadership of School, Harvard Graduate School of School Leadership, and there was this dynamic speaker, and I've kept it all these years, and it was, I'm just going to read you the quote from Pedro Noriega. You don't have to change the student population to get results. You have to simply change the conditions on which they learn. And that takes a lot of folks. Our teachers do a great job. Our administration, I actually look to central office. If we don't have certain structures in place, certain resources, that magic doesn't happen down in the classroom. And I always believe that we can have the best laid plans at the district level, but if they can't get to the building level and being implemented, the magic, I always said, is in the classroom and the most effective unit of change. So this is a celebration for everybody, and we're just gonna turn it over to Ray Bastock, and she gets a chance to talk a little bit about our state report card. So, no, actually, if you want, you can.
You just gotta go get the mic, though.
I gotta go get the mic, though. You know.
I'll get it. Oh, you got thanks.
Yeah, we have to let the students do their job.
Yeah, right.
I think for the purpose of those folks listening, we're gonna use the mic so they can hear.
Click 2, that's a lot. That's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure. So, yeah, all right. So we are going to take a sneak peek, and I just noticed just right now that peak should be PEK. So, Ms. Falkenberg, yeah, we can look at that. But we are rising to the peak. And I think 20 people missed that because we've looked at this presentation 30 times. All right. So last year I went into the details of the report card. But right now this is truly the preliminary report card that's supposed to come out on Thursday. But I think we're going to be pretty excited. So you want me to click, Dr. Reed? You want me to click? Yeah, thank you. So to start with, this is the report card components. Remember last year we didn't get a final rating. Remember it was the first year of the new report card, and I explained that. So here is the final, how the final star, because they're stars now, is calculated. And if you look at it, it's 28%, 28.6% achievement, and then you have progress, you have graduation, you have early literacy, and you have gap closing. So all those pieces of pie make up that final rating, and it's a final rating of the district as well as the final rating as each school. Those percentages change, however, when it comes to school final stars because, for example, high school doesn't have K-3 literacy. So those are all weighted different, like at the school. So the pie looks different for every school. But here we go. Right now, South Hugo Lyndhurst, preliminary until Thursday, we have 3.5 stars as a district rating. And these are our, yeah, you can shout. You can shout. So that's pretty exciting. If you go back to the ABCD, you know, that's like a C+ almost, like, right? So we actually did really good coming out of the pandemic. Last year, not having a rating and coming up here. I mean, our teachers and students have worked really hard, and our leaders, and I think we've really shown a lot of progress. Our gap closing is 4, and I remember telling you last year that, you know, remember those thresholds, they change every year. They go up. So looking at a 4-star as that went up, it's pretty impressive. So kudos to teachers, leaders, and students.
We were cautious for some folks may have gotten that previous year because, as you know, think of I'm a track coach. Think of a high jump. Okay, you know that bar keeps going up. You have to keep making adjustments to be able to make it over to the next threshold, and that's exactly what happens when we're not dealing with the same threshold last year. There are this year. So that's what makes it more impressive.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It's really good news. Progress again is 4, and that's how much we grow students from one year to the other. And we have 4 stars in there, and the early literacy moved up. So we have 3 stars in early literacy, which is that K through 3 part. So we were pretty excited. I think I ran down to Dr. Reed. We're like, I'll change it. I was like, hey, look, I know. Right? All right, so then we're going to take a look at the buildings, and there we have Adrian. Adrian right now has a rating of 4.5 stars. Their gap closing is a 5. Their achievement is a 4. And remember, the achievement piece is a little different this year. It's compared to the top, I think it's 5% of the school, so that measurement always changes. So those 3rd graders and Adrian, and kudos to K1 and 2, because that 3rd grade test is not a 3rd grade test. It is a K1, 2, 3 test. So we have to remember that for everybody. And their early literacy is a 3. So congrats to Adrian. And then we have Sunview, and they're the same. They are a 4.5 with their gap closing of 5, and achievement of 4 again, and early literacy. So kudos to them. And Roland has a 3-star, and they actually got a 4 on gap closing. And the one part what we did is when we look at the data, there's so much more data points. When you're going to see their report card, there's so many data points. But I tried to pick out something that I thought stood out, and their ELA achievement got 3 out of 4 in gap closing components. So that means that we are closing the gap between all our subgroups. So that's pretty impressive. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So with the gap closing, we're still looking at subgroups, and it's all or nothing. So that means we're getting more of our subgroups.
That's right.
Yeah. We are. I think when you see the data breaking down, I think we're closing them in most of our subgroups. I think there's 1 maybe in each building that we're still, and I believe that's special ed right now, and that's a challenge, right? But I mean, the rest of you, when you get that data, you're going to see that we are closing that gap between every other subgroup.
For those of you that may be looking at this the first time and wondering why we're so excited about this component, is with subgroups, every school, every district has different subgroups.
Yes.
And with us, we have a lot of subgroups. And so the way it works, and you guys can, the way it works is if one subgroup doesn't pass, then you get dinged for that.
Mm-hmm.
So the more subgroups you have, the harder it is to score higher. So a school that's more homogeneous,
that's right,
is going to have fewer subgroups.
That's
So
right.
like a Solon and a Mayfield may only have a few subgroups. We have how many subgroups?
It depends on the buildings, but I think we have like 8. Yeah.
I thought we had it around 8 or 9.
Yeah, we have like 8 for the district.
So that means every subgroup passed or performed, all 9 subgroups, compared to like I said, if you're a more homogeneous district, you may only have 1 or 2 subgroups.
That would be correct.
The gap closing for us and the performance is so critical because we know we can struggle around the performance, but the gap closing and the achievement and moving, that we're making progress and we're trending in the right way, just means that our achievement scores are going to continue to rise because of all the work being done here with the gap closing and all of that.
And remember, those targets change and they increase every year. So, yep.
You have multiple.
And it's updated,
Yeah.
We could tell that Mrs. Ryan's been on the board for.
I know, right? She knows all about the. Would you here? You're. No.
If I could add something, I would, but I'll be honest with you. I think you explained it just right because there are certain, again, just school districts where they might just have 2 or 3, and then there's folks that will have anywhere from 9 or what, and it's really. I was thinking with baseball, it's like you got to bat 1,000 in order for it to count. But I know in baseball, if you are actually got a batting of like 3 out of 10, right, Mr. Best, that's pretty good. That's 300, but that's what I'm saying. But so it just goes to show you when you have a moving target. So it just really, we just want to acknowledge the hard work that everybody's putting in with regards to this area. And gap closing, you're right. If we keep closing the gap, you're going to see a natural positive effect on the achievement.
And then we go to Greenview. Greenview is 3.5 stars. Their progress is 4 and their gap closing is 3. And if you look at their ELA achievement is 6 points out of 8 in the gap closing component of that pie. So that was pretty impressive too.
For those who aren't familiar with Greenview, involves our 4, 5, 6 building. I know we have it as a campus, so this is collectively 4, 5, 6 together.
Memorial's 3, and their progress is a 3, and their gap closing is a 4. And they have 5 out of 6 point in their ELA achievement. And again, the junior high is tough. 7th and 8th grade, that is a tough age. So this dedicates the hard work of our teachers and our students. They're really they really go out there and they really try. And I think, with the new curriculum everybody is getting and the way that teachers have rallied around just doing what's right, this is what we get. And then we have Brush, and they have 3.5 stars, and their progress is 4. One of the components we look at, there's a graduation rating, but then there's also a graduation point system in gap closing. So they actually have 4 out of 5 in the gap closing again. So we are taking our subgroups and getting them closer and closer on the same page. And then ELA, they have 4 out of 6 in gap closing component. That ELA team at Brush is outstanding. They really work really hard. They wrote a lot of curriculum this year too. So they deserve it. It's great. So that is Brush. And that's it. Yeah. So, okay, now Thursday when it comes out, be all nervous. So, I know, right?
So I think one of the things we wanted to do is, they do a release always about this time every year, and what we're talking about, they start to release the data around probably late June. We look through it, and there's always a lot of different changes. So I would think with 2 days to go, everything's pretty solid here. We just felt like this was a great opportunity to share at this board meeting the celebration, because there's, again, there's a lot of measurements, but this is a very public one, and we're very proud of the work of our teaching staff, our administrative staff, our parents. It was really great, and get that 5-star rating. But at the same time, we're going to continue to do the right work in the classrooms and for our students. So thank you, team, and thank you, everybody. It's in this day and age, you gotta celebrate, and this is a celebration. So thank you. So with that being said, this was a fun board meeting. Yeah. Good to see some of our students in action, and at the same time have an opportunity to celebrate. But with that being said, that concludes the 3 items that we had for this evening, and we will see folks next week at our regular board meeting.